Okay, so I want to do a tarot reading, and I was having trouble picking a deck, and then I ended up going with Wisdom of the Oracle. It's not tarot, it's an oracle deck. And at the same time as wanting to do a reading, there's this channeled message that is just nagging. Like, it just feels like being hit over the head with this message that like clearly wants to come out. I don't know if it'll come out in the cards. However, I didn't have it filmed, but the orphaned card from this oracle deck did come out, but it came out in the reverse. And what's really interesting to me is that the message that just keeps, it's like, it feels like it's just cycling through like my mind, my body. It's very present. And it feels heavy on my chest, almost like I emotionally I don't feel sad or anything. So it's definitely channeled from somewhere, but there's this heaviness about it. It's coupled with urgency, but the heaviness is like, how do I even explain this? It's like understanding that because of something that you're going through, really intense spiritual upgrades, like, and by upgrades, I don't mean you're better than somebody else. I just mean your understanding of consciousness and how consciousness impacts your reality and the things that you experience. You're just understanding your spirituality on a much deeper level, and it might feel very intense. And at a time when you might think that connecting to other people and being able to, soothe yourself with distractions, I'm not saying isolate. Like, if that's your impulse, I'm not encouraging you to do that, especially if you're having a really hard time. That's when you seek out support and assistance from people who can do that with you and for you. But if you're someone who is grounded, you're not struggling with your mental health, you're fine, but you're having some realizations about the nature of reality and your spirituality and what that means for you, there can be this impulse to spend more time alone. And that is okay. Oh, pardon me. I really think that when I channel, because it's not that late right now, that for me, it like my nose gets itchy and I yawn a lot. Because I feel very awake, and yet the yawning, it happens in like every reading. But this orphaned card would imply, the feeling of being alone, not feeling good, feeling abandoned in some way. I don't think you're feeling that. I think that there's a liberation in being alone right now, because you're not alone. You're with yourself. You're with your spirit. You're in a space where the noise subsides and you're able to connect to a very deep part of yourself, which perhaps in the past, like I'm kind of getting like in the past, maybe you ran from it, and now it's like it's been a 180. All of a sudden, it's 10:10 on my clock. It's like you want to connect with this part of yourself, because it's not just connecting with yourself, it's connecting with the divinity that lives inside of you, that lives in all of us. Not everyone wants to connect to it, but I think that you do. And you're recognizing that although a very skilled alchemist, a very skilled spirit can connect with this deeper part of themselves in a crowded room, they have that ability. Not everybody does. Certainly not in the beginning of your spiritual journey, your spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call this that you're going through. The gurus, the masters, people have been meditating for a long time or are very skilled at it, can ultimately get to a place where they could be in a room full of 500 people, all screaming and yelling and talking and doing their own thing, and ultimately still be able to tap into that peace. I call it like the 0 point, where there's this spaciousness. It's a frequency. It's a void space where something can materialize. This is so hard to explain. It's like a manifestation. Pardon me. Ooh, throat chakra stuff. where in it's like getting rid of things. When you get rid of things, then you have space to replace those things with different things that align with you much better. It's like when you need to do spring cleaning, or you clear out your wardrobe so that you can revamp your style. Maybe. Oh. Ooh, that must be part of it. Maybe you do need to go through your stuff. Maybe you need to go through your closet, get rid of things. Maybe you want to change your style. I do think this, this spirituality and the spiritual awakening that you're going through is coupled with, we call it identity shifting here, but it's ultimately just the version of you that you're now stepping into. It's still you, but I get the sense that this version of you is actually very different. Usually it's not such a drastic change, but for you, I believe that it could be. And so just be aware that when you come out of this little isolation, which I think ultimately could even just be like one night, it could be just one day that you just take for yourself. Maybe you journal, maybe you draw, maybe you voice memo into your phone. Mirror work is helpful too. On the other side of it, when you are interacting with the people who know and love you, again, don't forget that they know and love you. I think that when our identities shift, especially if it's really based in some sort of an awakening process, that can feel really tender. That can feel almost like even the people who love us deeply, it's as if they sort of represent some kind of threat to that newly discovered part of yourself or version of yourself. And I understand how that can happen, but I want to encourage you to reframe that as the people who know me love me and they want the best for me. And I can set healthy boundaries and take healthy amounts of space in order to protect that tender new part that's revealing itself. But I will never encourage cutting the people out of your life who love you. We need human connection. We need that. So don't let it turn into that. But I do think that this orphaned reverse card is essentially, it's a homecoming. You're no longer feeling lonely when you are alone, because you're recognizing that there are different parts of you that you can develop relationships with. It's not just you alone, it's you with these pieces that now want to be expressed. There's a pretty significant change that's happening for you. And if you don't really know what it is and you don't understand it right now, that's fine. You don't have to. What's that? Buy the book. Buy the book. It came out reversed as well. And I don't know if it's because I was holding my deck upside down or, it landed upside down anyways. But buy the book. You're not doing things by the book. You're doing things differently. This reminds me of like peer group or family, household, something like that. The people who love us the most are often the most fearful for us, as if on our behalf, because they love us and they care about us and they want to make sure that we thrive, that we are successful in life, and they do it through whatever lens it is that they know to be true in terms of a safe route or safer route to success. And they could be right. Doing things by the book could make sense. But I do get the sense for you, there's I don't think it's it's not like you're the black sheep, though maybe when you've felt negatively, you may have sort of called yourself that thing. I don't think that's necessarily it, at least not for everyone in this collective. It's more like there's a rebellious nature in you that maybe sometimes you haven't liked because it's gotten you in trouble or it's created conflict when you didn't want there to be. And so people can find you very adversarial or a little defensive, or I don't think you cause a scene, but you're a disruptor without meaning to be a disruptor. And I think that that's almost more challenging to deal with than being a conscious disruptor. Because that person who's a conscious disruptor is trying to create a reaction. They're trying to create some sort of outcome through that disruption. But it's as if you navigate spaces and you're going to trigger people no matter what. And it's really going to trigger people when you decide to walk a path that is very unique and you're not going to do things by the book. You're doing them differently. You're turning the world upside down and on its head. Yeah. And I think that this might worry the people. Wow, that card just like jumped and then went back on the pile. Okay. Okay, these cards are right side up and all of them are coming out in reverse. The Fate in reverse. You could be questioning so intensely, you're like, why things are unfolding the way that they're unfolding. It's like nothing's making sense right now. Or not nothing, but just many things aren't making sense right now. And you might be having one of those shaking your fist at the universe, like, why, kind of moments. And I encourage you to really double down on your trust that everything's going to be okay. And that's a tall order when things are really chaotic and hectic and just not going your way. But don't fall into an energy or attitude of, you know, the universe is working against me. Is it my fate to constantly be in struggle or constantly feel isolated or, you know, be the black sheep, or if you want to call it that, or always be perceived in this way. It's your fate, but it's not. It's not your fate to stay in that. It was your fate to experience it up until this point, and now something really, I keep hearing like radical, rebellious, revolutionary. There's a rumbling. There are things happening that are fated, but they're very positive and good things. You cannot see it yet. Yeah, the Thinker. It's interesting. We're using all oracle cards right now. 44. The number 44 could be important for you. By the book was 11. You're being invited to contemplate. Like feeling your feelings is important. If you find that you're numbing and you avoid your feelings, I encourage you to do the opposite. But if you're someone who is really overwhelmed by feelings right now and you're feeling like you're drowning in the emotions, the invitation is actually to shift into thinking, says the Thinker. I have become very, very interested in the study of consciousness and metaphysics and how conscious awareness impacts our reality. And it is such a rabbit hole. There's so much to learn. But in many, many ancient traditions and spiritual paths, oh my god, itchy nose, they all speak to, in one way or another, the fact, or the idea, the theory, that the universe and reality is mental, that we create much of our reality through our perception of what's happening around us. So how we react and respond to what is happening at face value, it's all colored through the lens of our own consciousness. That's one aspect. But then there's that double slit experiment that showed that particles behave differently when they're observed versus when they are not observed. So this has implications. It would suggest that potentially our consciousness, our level of consciousness, our type of consciousness, the frequency that represents our consciousness or our identity, oh, itchy nose, the universe is mental. That our consciousness, the power of our mind, is much, much, much more profound, I was going to say, than you think it is. Well, now perhaps you think that it is. Yeah. It's very interesting to me that at the top of 3 out of the 4 cards, we have these, like the banners. You see them at the top of 3 out of the 4 cards, and I wonder if that's, I don't think that's like super common on all of them. Like it's on a few of them. I think that there's a seriousness about what's happening for you right now, and it's almost like spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it, your angels, your ancestors, your guides, I don't know, whatever rings true for you, is inviting you to remember to keep a light-hearted nature. Yes, what you're experiencing is very deep. You're having an awakening of some kind, but don't lose, it was 15:15 on my timer, don't lose your sense of humor. Like, it's getting so serious, and it doesn't need to be that way. They don't want you to get lost in the sauce, like, unless you can laugh about it. Do you know what I mean? Ooh. Beautiful. Yeah, on the bottom is flexible. So needing to yes, you're going through an awakening, but you can't isolate yourself constantly. You need to be flexible. If you need to be around other people, be around other people, and just know that, oh, pardon me. Oh, wow. It's funny because I'm not like mentally tired. It's just I keep yawning. It's an energy thing. There was a lot of like really intense energy at the beginning of this reading, and now it feels like everything's kind of settling down. The banners to me represent like the vibe of a party, right? That's when you would see flags and things like that. And your invitation is to keep things more lighthearted. You do need to interact with other people, and you do need to be flexible about how you navigate the world right now, because you can't just isolate, hide away. You could quit your job. I don't encourage that. That is not my advice to you. Don't do that. You can have alone time, but don't cut yourself off from the world. And if you're feeling very rigid about what you're doing and what you're going through, the invitation is the opposite. Finding a way to navigate in a flexible manner while still processing what you're going through. Because I don't want to say it's not that deep. It is that deep. In fact, it could be even deeper. But it doesn't need to be that rigid. It doesn't need to be that hard. It doesn't need to be... It's like... It's like just having a sense of humor about something that's really profound that you're going through. You've got to find a way to be able to laugh with it. You know? And then we get truth be told. I love how this owl also has little flags in it. Truth be told, so the owl has a window that's opening up and all these little hearts are coming out of it, and then it's standing on top of a mask. This is you dropping the mask, whatever it is that, like whatever role it is that you've been playing in your life up until this point, you, maybe for the first time, maybe the first time out of many times, because we do this a lot in our lives, but it's quite profound when you realize it for the first time, that you've been playing a role, and that you have an active choice now that you have this conscious awareness to choose what role you'd like to play, right? Not in a fake way, but in a conscious way. And you're also becoming acquainted with your authenticity, like your essence, your spirit, your soul, the youest you, the part that is maintained even when every cell in your body has replaced itself, even when every situation that you've been in has changed, every friend has changed to a different friend, you've moved locations, you've changed jobs, you've changed your preferences, maybe even your values changed. Those do tend to stay consistent over most of our lives, but they do change, sometimes drastically, depending on the person. But you're letting the mask fall away for the first time, potentially, or maybe it's not the first time, but it's a really profound shifting that's happening for you. And you're learning to speak your truth. It's like, I don't know, I just got all warm and fuzzy. It's that sounded so silly, but I do. I feel all warm and fuzzy. It's like, yeah, there's something so beautiful about that energy shift that just happened. When you recognize that the only way for, like, you've only got two options. It's authenticity or stay stuck. And you can stay stuck if you want to, but I know that you don't want to, so it's just a matter of time before you let everything that is not authentic to you fall away. Sorry, it's very loud upstairs. it's perfect timing too. I keep hearing perfect timing. I think perhaps you've questioned a lot. It was 2020 on my timer there. I think you've questioned your timing in your life a lot. Your path, when is it going to happen for you? Maybe all the markers of success, the traditional stereotypical markers of success or markers of adulthood and accomplishment and what you should or should not be doing. Oh, baby. Oh. It's like they haven't aligned for you. Maybe you don't want to have kids. Maybe you don't plan on getting married. Or if you do, you've been like, why hasn't it happened yet? It's all in divine timing. I know it's annoying when people say that. I get it. It's annoying. But it's true. In my opinion, I believe in free will, and I also believe in destiny. It's like a choose your own adventure novel. I don't know if you ever had those when you were a kid. Kind of like dating myself here. But in the school library, we used to have a bunch of these books that were called Choose Your Own Adventures. Ultimately, you have the ability to choose different options, and then you turn to the page that it tells you to go to, and then it has like the next part of the story for you. But there's a destiny in it as well. Sometimes, despite all of the decisions that we make in life, there's just this nagging underlying feeling that there's a certain direction that we need to be going in, even if we make decisions that take us on a very roundabout route. There can be this knowingness that we're going to come back around, or we need to pursue a certain thing no matter how much we have resisted that thing. And there's something really, really beautiful about you coming to this point in your life and feeling yourself on the precipice. Take time out if you need to take time out. It is very challenging to go through a profound identity shift. Like a big one, not a little one. When you need to navigate through shared spaces, through jobs, shared homes, being surrounded by family, being surrounded by friends, and you, as long as you're not isolating in an unhealthy way, because I never encourage that, but taking healthy space for you to process what it is that you're going through, the happiness and the joy on the other side of what you're going through. I don't even necessarily think that you're struggling or suffering with it. I think it's just confusing. Like, I think you've gotten to a point where it doesn't make you sad, it doesn't make you angry, it doesn't even feel lonely. I think it's just such a whirlwind inside, that need for stillness and silence and not having to talk to everyone about every little thing. It can also make you feel like very sensitive energetically to people reaching out to you, like maybe not wanting to answer the phone. I don't know, I personally put my phone on silent much earlier in the evening than I used to, because I'm just taking that time, just taking that space. And I talk a lot in this collective to recovering people pleasers. So if that's you, I see you, I hear you, I got you. And if that's not you, that's totally fine. But recovering people pleasers who ultimately end up on the other side of that pattern, when they move out of that pattern, end up being some of the most boss, badass, amazing, super duper strong, just incredible self-expressed people who take no prisoners, if that makes sense. But it can be very difficult to set what are actually healthy boundaries, because people pleasers are not used to, they don't really have a good example of what healthy boundaries look like and feel like. Oh, sorry. Oh, wow. Okay. I think we're reaching the end of this reading, but you're about to step into a version of you that is so authentic that it might be intimidating, but you're trying to hear what it sounds like. Maybe trying to hear what your voice sounds like, what your truth be told, sounds like. And you're not ready to communicate it yet because it feels tender, it feels new, it feels like it needs privacy, it feels like it needs time to solidify and strengthen. And that's okay. So striking a balance, you're allowed to be selective with who you spend your time with. You don't have to isolate completely. You can see people, You can see people who understand what it is that you're going through, or they respect the process even if they don't get it, right? There's a difference between spending your time with folks like that versus spending time with people who poke holes in something so tender and new. Those are not the people to necessarily spend all your time with, unless you can create an energetic bubble around you so that you can navigate your relationships in those spaces more easily. I have had to do this personally, where I imagine a golden bubble. It's kind of sparkly, and I use it. It's an impenetrable shield against things that are not in service to my highest good. And I can love somebody from a distance, and I can care about them and respect them with a little bit of energetic distance. It's okay to do that. It will make you a stronger person in the long run. So, my tummy's growling. I need to go have a snack. But I hope this helps. I am sending you so much love, and I will see you in the next one.